viewers, you're welcome to your show, my show, our show, the Digging Deep Show, and thank you ever so much for tuning into the program. We promised this year, 2015, we said it's a year of development, developing you physically, spiritually, and financially. Yes, we had those guys who came speaking about a healthy body and a healthy mind, and we also have those who are speaking about the spiritual aspect, but we know that we need money. The Bible says money answers all things, and especially in this 21st century, it's a necessity. And we have a gentleman in the house who is well versed in the business arena. Matthew, please introduce yourself.
I'm Matthew Black. I've got a real pleasure to be here on your show. I'm really happy to share some of the knowledge and wisdom I've got from the past. I grew up in the outback of Australia in a very isolated community, so very far from a big city. My community I grew up in was predominantly Black Australians, so Aboriginal Australians. They were in the majority, and so I kind of like learned a lot of bushcraft. So I learned how to catch a goanna with my bare hands, how to make fire, real Crocodile Dundee style stuff. It bred me a big pile of independence. I wanted to be very independent because of the kind of confidence that being these kind of survival skills kind of taught me. I left home very early. I think that's pretty unique as far as success in business, and leaving home is quite early. 14 I left home, and I worked at night, and I put myself through school, and eventually went on to a graphic design degree in college. But I found it very difficult to make money. I had like 4 night jobs trying to pay rent, food, everything. And as a young guy, I didn't know how to cook, so I was spending extra money on food, and it was very difficult. So, I became, I came to the understanding at some point that I couldn't depend on just working for other people. It just didn't pay enough. It wasn't good enough. And so kind of early on in my life, I decided that I wanted to work for myself. I didn't know how to do it, but I knew that was a way to make decent money. And I came to a realization, which I'm sure many people that looking towards business come to the realization of, is that I can't continue to exchange my time for money. I can't continue to just have, work for 1 hour and get £5 or £10. I can't then do another hour and get another £10, £20. I can't keep doing that. When you get to the very high levels, people exchange their time for a lot of money. They might earn 100, 200, 500,000 a year or whatever it is. Now you can do that if you go through the schooling and become a lawyer or a barrister or whatever it is, a corporate executive. But for most of us, we're stuck in this trap of, if you don't work, you don't earn. And that's where I kind of something happened to me. I had a car accident and I wasn't able to work, and I lost all my jobs, and I was in this predicament where I couldn't make money. It was really tough, and this was just before my 18th birthday, and I felt very sorry for myself. And there was nobody to support me, and I was like, God, this is not good. So I've been in some bad situations. It's tough, and the world doesn't care. Honestly, the person that's got to pick yourself up. You've got to have faith in yourself to get up off your butt and go out and do something. And I was fortunate that I had the motivation to do that at the time. I was very depressed, but I went and did it. And I basically saw an opportunity. And this is what it's about, and this is what I'd want to share with your readers. I'm not going to tell you any technical things on business, because there's so many different people out there and they're all in different situations. But I'm not going to go through that stuff. What I'm really interested in people getting is the right attitude and the right thinking, because that's what makes a successful entrepreneur. That's what makes you successful in business and successful in life.
So the whole thing lies here.
It's attitude. It's all in your head. The greatest leaders in the world, they're there because of their attitude, what they say, what they do, not because of necessarily technical skills. It's about what's in your mind and what drives you. One of the core, if there was 3 things to be successful in business, more than half of them are in your head. And the other one is the technical side. So there's leadership and vision. There's being able to communicate that vision and what your product's about to the world. And then in the back, the last third is operations, being able to deliver product, do the work, do the practical things to deliver it. That's only 1/3 of the equation. So you can see that you can get a long way with just attitude and vision and articulating what that vision is. So for me, the success I was looking for opportunity. I was looking for a way to make a breakthrough. And the people that are successful are always looking, because there's opportunities everywhere.
And,
Yeah.
and the question mark is, you grew up in Australia, and from Australia, 18 years, here you are in the United Kingdom. How did you come here to be where you are?
Well, I was lucky. When I was looking for that opportunity I told you about, I found a person who wanted to sack their existing workers for delivering auto parts. So, car parts,
Yes.
engines and things. And they picked them up from one place and dropped them off to car mechanics. And I picked up a delivery run of that. And then a few weeks later, they wanted to sack another person, and I said, I'll take that on board, and I'll get a friend of mine to do it. And then I did it again and again, and less than 2 years later, I sold that company, which had many staff, was covering over 1 million square kilometres for 1.2 million Australian. And so I had early success. I had really early success. It was before I was 20 years old. So because of that strong financial basis that I had, I was able to go off and experiment with other different kinds of companies, tech companies, ITC, the internet, telecommunications and technology companies like computers and things, and how they all interact. I was then enjoyed some really good success. Before I was 30, I bought a large telecoms company. But that's very unusual to have that kind of early success. But for the average person looking for opportunity, that for me, that was the key, being open and actively looking for opportunity. Because I see, as a business person, opportunity coming all the time. I was fortunate to have early success in my business, but also with high flying sometimes comes failure. So in my bio, you'll read that I lost my largest company.
Yes.
Yeah, so I lost like 60 million pounds. So it's quite a lot of money. I laugh about it now. I wasn't laughing at the time, I'll be honest. But I went on from there. It wasn't my fault, which is fine. But that's about planning and making sure you cover all your bases. But I went on from there to consult in Silicon Valley. So I moved to America. This was during the dot-com age. And I had the real privilege of helping companies like Google and Yahoo, biotech companies and different types of tech startups during that kind of phase as the dot-com crash came, and working through that and hopefully saving as many companies as possible. So that was good fun. But that's where the story starts, which had me be in the UK. I got really interested in the Boy Scouts of America, a street kid program in particular, which was working with Afro-American youth from single parent families. And I had the great privilege of being able to talk to faith-based organizations in San Francisco and convince them to provide my program with strong male role models to teach young boys what a good ethical man looks like, and what having good ethics is all about. And I was able to talk to them a little bit about, they're about the money, they're about the look, etc., etc.
Yes.
And we were able to share with them that money comes from being a good person and doing good business, and not going out there and treating other people badly. And it was a really great, successful program. I was very pleased with that, and it still exists today, which is really, really great. But kind of like, I'll explain to you that the kind of ethics that I was teaching young people are the same ethics that I try to share with a lot of people. Yeah, my current business is a social business, so it balances financial gain with impact. So I'm really conscious of the kind of impact I make on the world as a metric for measuring my success.
All right.
Just as important to me as financial success.
How do those two mix? How do you mix the two? It's kind of, you're saying you mix business and pleasure, is it?
Well, yeah, I suppose so. There's businesses that are inherently good businesses, as you can probably appreciate. If I'm a charity fundraising company, and all I do all day is raise money for charities, then that's an inherently good business. You make a profit, but in the process of doing your business, you make good things happen. So that's an example. For me, my organisation, with the money that I earn in the corporate training I do, so I work with large corporations on having their staff be inspired and excited to be part of the large corporate machine and move them forward profit. But on the other side, I've just finished filming a video series. I actually brought in a fly here. So, this is the kind of stuff that people are really interested in. This is the art and science of networking. Okay. One of the most popular ones. It's about relationship building. And this is the kind of stuff I want people to kind of learn and understand. How to build a relationship really effectively. And this has both attitude, the head stuff I talk about, and some kind of technical guidelines as well, some technical tricks to help you build relationships really.
You're talking of things which you did whilst you were 18 years, and now probably it's more than 2 decades or so from
I'm
that
not
time.
that old.
Yeah, from that time.
Yes.
Are the same principles still applicable to the future? Well, we are getting into a world full of technology now.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
should we use the same principles in 2015 where everything is just on application?
You say that. It's really incredible that you invited me along today because I write for this magazine, Disrupts Magazine, and the article I just finished writing in here, because I'm a sales writer for that, sales
Yes.
editor, was exactly the same topic. It was what's the future look like with regards to sales and relationships. And I'll tell you now what I wrote as well, because I think it holds true. As true as it was when I very first started getting involved in business, my very first discussion with my very first client was about how can I make life easier for you and solve your problems, and that kind of interaction and inquiry into his problems. That's as true today as it ever was then or in the past. People want you to kind of understand them, to get where they're at, to solve their problem. Now, for certain products, it might be an app, and that might work. But I tell you what, for most products, that's not true. For most products, it's about relationship building. The more critical the product, if you're buying a house, if you're buying a fantastic sports car, if you're buying shares, if you're doing whatever, there's lots of different types of things you might transact. Some of them, if you're experienced, you know exactly what's going on, like a share exchange. It'll just happen electronically, and there's virtually no interaction from human beings. But some stuff, if you're buying your first family home, you want human interaction. You want to be shown around. Humans are never going to be replaced. There's no app for building trust.
So then, what does the future hold for new business models? We have entrepreneurs who are starting businesses in 2015, and the model probably might be slightly different. Back then, 15, 20 years ago, it was just starting your business, have your letterheads, business cards, but now you need internet to have your application, web address, the landing page, and all those complicated things. What does the future hold?
Well, just to clarify, what you kind of mentioned there was more about the kind of what the look and feel of your company. So it's what you mentioned, like a website, your business cards, letterheads. That's actually more in the world of marketing and branding. Business models is more refers to what's the process, how do we acquire customers and deliver our service model, what's our revenue, where does our revenue come from? That's more what a model is. So just to clarify those two things, and I'll talk about both. So on the business model side, I write for Disrupts, which is, I really believe in, and the reason I do that is I really believe in the new emerging disruptive technologies. Uber's a great example.
Yes.
They've taken a few smart ideas and a couple of USPs and a little bit of technology and smashed the way we think about kind of getting a taxi. Just with a few little, bits of tips. They've been a kind of inspiration for many, many other types of models. But research says that about 50% of the biggest companies in the world by 2020 don't exist yet. And over half of those are in industries that don't exist yet. So we don't even know where we're going to go in the future. So it could be, vegetable kind of like cellular-driven computing technology, which is so early stage. It could be high-end, breakthroughs in solar energy, renewables. And there's lots of different types of technologies that we can kind of think that might be the next ones. But we really don't know. So the field is so open. And then you've got disruptive technology like Uber, who go into a really hundreds of year old kind of industry and wedge open a new opportunity and exploit it. So even though business has been around forever, and obviously been around since men started wanting things, the world is changing. There's people that are creating opportunity all the time. So in the world of business models, it's shifting. There's always new opportunities. And when I was when I was 35, 40 years old, I got to a point where I thought, everything's been done. Everything's been done. Everything has been done literally over and over, and it's been repeated thousands of times. I haven't seen a brand new business model for a very long time. But that doesn't mean that you can't carve out a business that's right for you. If you want a business that makes you $1 million, $10 million, $100 million, 50, but it could be a business that just makes you 20 or 30,000 a year and has you have plenty of free time with your children. There's nothing wrong with that. I want people to get out of the notion that they have to build $1 billion company. That's not necessarily the case. It could just be that you want some time and enough money to get through life and enjoy it and spend time with your family. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So answering your other question about modelling, about how, yes, the world's changed from having just a business card and just some letterheads and stuff to an online presence. But that's not got to do with business. That's got to do with people. People have changed how they consume information. They're now getting on the tube in the morning or the bus in the morning on their way to their job and watching their email or going through or streaming video, and it's human beings. And so really marketing is all about, it's always been all about, where do people consume information, whereabouts is the best time, place, etc. to get your brand put in front of them. Here you go. You want it? There it is right there at the right time and place. And there's a phrase called MarTech, marketing technology.
Yes.
And there's a whole world around how different types of like ambush marketing, fully semi-automated marketing, content marketing, inbound. There's lots of thousands of acronyms I can throw at you about different types of marketing methodology which bring tech into the equation. But I'll remind you that tech is one side of the equation. Without clarity of vision, like clarity of, I can explain to you in 5 or 10 seconds exactly what I do, and you get it. If you don't have that, you can market out the yin yang. You can market as much as you like, and you can talk and talk and talk. But people are just like, what are they selling? What is exactly? How much is it? What is this? I don't get it. I don't get why I should care. Yeah. And that's the importance. So if you're going to go down the track of any kind of marketing or any kind of technology, especially when it costs you money, you need to have the basics done first, the fundamentals of business. And that's where
you're someone who's into marketing, and you are fully versed in that area. On the other hand, there are some statements which you say which are kind of probably contradicting to the ones which you grew up hearing. People, they say the client is always right. This is such kind of a thing. And in one of your videos, you sound to be going against the grain. Can you explain or give us a hint of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm self-taught, right? So I started my first company when I was 18, and then on from there, I've always done consulting. I've been a CEO all of my life. And so I've not been formally educated. Like, I haven't been through the school system. I haven't got MBAs. I haven't got any degrees. And it's funny when I work with people that have got a master's degree in digital marketing or a master's degree or an MBA or something, they come and work for me and they say, oh, that's really interesting that you do this, this and this, and this is what the, such and such professor says, the system says. I said, that's great that the system agrees with me, but I have my own way of doing things and I discovered it. I'm saying it's like discovering the light bulb again. It's a lot of work that I went through. Sometimes I wish I would have gone through university, but there's times that I am glad I didn't, because they teach things that may have been true once, that they think are true now, that are not true either because of time, because of industry, because of technology, or because people have changed, perceptions have changed. And to answer your question on, is the customer always right? There's a lot of people that start their business that they want to deliver extraordinary value or quality or something to their client. They start off that way. But that's not actually necessarily right. As that for a lot of businesses, I can probably give you quite a few examples, a business owner shouldn't really even care about their customer. Do you know what I mean? It's not actually important. Shall I give you an example?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So a police officer or a security guard, that their job is to have a young person be safe on a work site, or safe if they're drunk, or something like that. You shouldn't care about what that person thinks. They could be raging against you. Don't stop me from having a good time. Don't whatever. But and I know that young person might be better off not being in that environment or that situation at that time. So they can hate you, but you do a great job. Do you know what I mean? That's an example. Another example of not worrying about things like customer retention would be, if you've got a product which is, you sell waffles. Yes. On London Bridge, or nuts, those little nut sellers. They shouldn't care a brass razoo about customer retention, Because 99.9% of people that buy from them are one-off
Will never
tourists,
come back again.
never ever come back again.
Yeah, just enjoy
You've got to
it when
get
they go.
enough product that smells good enough and looks good enough for them to buy it, and that's all. They shouldn't worry about a cent about anything. Why would I bother with a loyalty program or marketing or anything? It's all about that transaction at that moment. So for different business models, I'm not saying that I don't believe in quality, I don't believe in delivering customer service, but there's a lot of products where quality is not important. The customer service is not important. The retention is not important. It really is. You've got to understand for those particular types of businesses, those particular models, those particular products, there's things that you think should be important to every business that are clearly not. It's not even worth wasting your time on. Yeah? It's just the way it is.
Pardon me. You spoke of the business, and you are somebody who is more into advising people who are coming up, mainly entrepreneurs, startups in business.
Yeah.
What is the best way that makes somebody to set them on pedestal to be successful in business?
Oh, it's those three. Yeah, I mean the three elements, the three key kind of elements that I would, if I had to simplify anything, it's the leadership, communication, and systems. So leadership comes from a person, that the CEO or the founder, that has the vision of where the company's going, that is the biggest fan, is the person who's going to go out there and promote it. You know, if you're not going to be in action, if you're going to lead the company and set the vision and make decisions, move the company forward, then nothing's going to happen, right? Clearly. Nobody else can do it for you. The second one is the communication. If you're not able to articulate to customers, if you're not actually have marketing of any kind, to actually reach out and explain to people, this is what I do and this is why you should care, then you're never going to have sales and you're never going to make it work. And if you don't have the systems in place to deliver the products, to make sure the quality is appropriate for what the market you're looking for, etc., legals, all that kind of stuff, you're not going to have a product to sell. So without those three elements, you don't have a business. That's really simplified. I mean, each one of those areas is a whole industry, right? Be clear. But there's things to go. But beyond that, I think that for me, and I spoke just recently at the Gherkin to a bunch of young entrepreneurs, and I said this exact same thing. It's that everybody works. Everybody works hard. Everybody, believes in their product. Everybody does what they need to do to pay their rent and put their food on the table, and everybody works. Everybody hustles. But to be really successful, you have to do what successful people do, and that usually means work smarter, work maybe a little bit harder, and an important element that a lot of people don't understand is that entrepreneur success is a team sport. You can't do it on your own. You don't know everything. I don't know everything. Every time I built a company, every time I was successful, the reason I was successful is because other people were involved. I had other people that I trusted and gave work to, that they gave me back results. And that's how you start to replicate. The whole thing about not exchanging time for money comes from the world of replication. So I did it just by accident early on, which was having other drivers. I hired other drivers and I started making 5 or 10% on top of whatever they were making. And all of a sudden I had 100 drivers. I was making 10 times what they were making, and I wasn't doing anything. And replication was the key.
There's this thing which most people who advise entrepreneurs say, that when you're doing a business, you have to do what you enjoy or what you like doing. How far true is it? Now we're getting into the 21st century. Most people, they are not interested in putting their hands on the computer and everything being computerized. So are we saying all of these people should be redundant, or what should we do if I don't find there's a business opportunity, but it's not something that is in my area? Should I let it go?
Yeah. I've got business ideas as long as my arm, and it doesn't necessarily mean I'll do any of them. No matter what the kind of profit margins are, etc., right? I can see I've got a number of business ideas that could be multi-million-dollar ideas, but it doesn't mean I'm going to do them, because, I really believe you need to have a passion for it, because it is a journey. It is a journey with lots of ups and downs, and it's hard work. Everybody that's been successful in business, unless they've been extremely lucky, have worked really hard. In my book, I've got a book called The Little Black Book for Entrepreneurs, and one of the pages is covered with the word try, all the way down, and the last word is overnight success. Because that's all people see. People just see the kind of like the success side, and they don't see the massive amounts of heartache and hard work that it takes to get there. And so don't underestimate the entrepreneurial journey. It's not easy. It does take work, and having a passion for what you do and having people you enjoy working with is the important thing. And that's where the kind of that leadership piece comes in, and that's why I talked a number of times about vision. If you've got a vision is not just for your customers, but it's for you and for your employees.
Yes, Matt, before we close, you got a book coming. What is the book all about, and can you just give a brief, please?
Yeah, I mentioned before. It's called The Little Black Book for Entrepreneurs.
Yes.
It shares kind of snippets of wisdom, I would call it, I suppose, insights that I've had from a very young age all the way through till today. I've worked with multi-billion-dollar companies, and every business that I've started my own, I started in a bootstrap, which is with no money or with my own money. Didn't look for funding. I just did it and made profitable businesses straight away. And it's the kind of methodology and thinking that I've got behind it. But it's meant to be practical. It's meant to have, on one side, inspirational messages that give you a bit of focus, because remember, it's about attitude. And then the other side, it's supposed to have some tangible tips and operational guides as to help you be successful. So that mixture of kind of head and heart, that I think is really important.
And how do we get hold of the book?
Well, you can go to my website, getread.co.uk, and you can just, there's a competition to enter to win, and I give away copies of my book. I don't sell my book at this point. I'm actually just interested in giving it away to people that are inspiring, that are young people that want to be an entrepreneur. I don't need to sell it. I think that's the best way.
All right, viewers, Christmas came early. Much details are right on the screen. So if you are an entrepreneur, you are longing to, you have been contemplating, you want to get into the industry, you don't know what the future holds, there is a book for you that will take you step by step. My details are right on the screen. Get in touch with him, sign up, and you'll get your free copy right at your doorsteps. You're watching your show, my show, our show, the Digging Deep Show. Matt, thank you so much for being with us in the studios.
Absolute pleasure.
What more shall I say to our viewers apart from saying thank you so much for giving us your precious possession, which is your time. For me and the rest of the team on the Digging Deep Show, we are signing out till we meet again. I love you all. Kudzi is my name. God bless you.